What happened there, buddy?
I have no idea. All of a sudden,
Did you hit your panic button again? Your life alert?
No, I did not. Sorry.
When do you have to get one of those, Rimmer? Like, what if they told you should get one of them? What age? We got 10 more years to go or so? 20?
25.
25.
Ooh,
all right, here's the question that we're going to I have two questions to ask you today. I'll start with the one that we were just discussing. What's your underwear of choice? What kind of underwear do you wear?
Boxers.
Boxers all the time? During the day and sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
My guy.
Also, what is your favorite Tom Hanks movie?
Favorite Tom Hanks movie? When Harry Met Sally.
That's Billy Crystal. That's not Tom Hanks.
You're thinking of you? Are you thinking of You've Got Mail, which is like the Harry Met Sally that Hanks was in?
Yeah, that's it.
That's him and Meg Ryan.
Sleepless in Seattle was also.
Sleepless in Seattle. Yeah. That's great.
I couldn't have asked for a better answer. Let's move on.
I love
free agency it's still open. It's still upon us. Blue Jackets obviously give Provorov a lot of cash. Were you surprised at the years and the term for that contract?
Well, I think they were pretty well up against it. They were getting close to the bewitching hour, July the 1st. Obviously, and I said this on the show several times, I think Provorov certainly played well for the team. But the Blue Jackets were attempting to find a right-handed shooting defenseman in that top four. They thought we got pretty close to getting Dobson, who ended up going to Montreal. And by the way, the Blue Jackets offered more than what he signed for in Montreal. But as a Canadian from Prince Edward Island, home of the great Doug MacLean, why, his dream was one day to play for Montreal. Otherwise, he would have been a Columbus Blue Jacket, in my opinion. So at that point, the Blue Jackets looked at Provorov and knew that he was staring at free agency for the first time and perhaps the only time in his National Hockey League career. It was a deal that had to get done. And Provorov certainly gives the Jackets some versatility because he can play the left side or the right side.
Jeff, I was reading, I can't remember which outlet it was, but it was just a, complete review of the entire NHL and how this offseason has gone to this point, free agency, and the Jackets were given a D grade, so kind of they're near the bottom. I know if you ask people in the organization, they wouldn't view it that way with what they did in the draft, but when you kind of look at the whole picture, guys they've lost, picked in the draft, brought in, where do you see things with the CBJ?
Well, I mean, to say they lost players, I think is a misnomer. They had the chance to re-sign everybody if they wanted to, but they want to get and have a different look. I think part of the reason why they got that D grade was because going into free agency, going into the draft, the Jackets thought that they could get that top four defenseman, and again tried, but couldn't get it done. I think they thought that they'd be able to make a goaltending move, and I told you guys a couple of weeks ago there were slim pickings as far as free agency and perhaps even a trade. So for those two reasons alone, I think a big reason why. And it's just one man's opinion that wrote that in The Athletic. I saw the same article. But let's see what happens on the ice. And as Don Waddell has certainly voiced since the draft and since free agency, he expects the players that took a huge step this past season to improve even more. He's able to keep that young nucleus together, and we'll see where things go. And understand, and Mike, you're right, free agency for all intents and purposes is over, but that does not prevent teams from making trades. And by the way, there are several teams that are over the cap. You can be over the cap in the summer. So at some point, they're going to have to make some moves, and then that could spur a trade for a goaltender or a right-handed shooting defenseman to the Jackets' liking.
Name dropping with Jeff Rimmer, brought to you by Rimmer's Friends, Buyers Imports by the Airport. You want to talk about your friends, Rims?
You know, I never turned down that opportunity, and Subaru by the Airport is the place to head to now. They've got a great selections of new and pre-owned Subarus at the airport, ready for immediate delivery. Let's talk about the Porsche. And did you know Central Ohio's #1 Porsche dealer is Buyers Imports by the Airport? And let's talk about the Volkswagens by the Airport, because right now there is a terrific deal on the brand new and redesigned 2025 Tiguan. In fact, the deal is so good, you can get a Tiguan for 3.9% for up to 60 months. All that at Buyers Imports by the airport.
Is it by the airport?
It is by the airport.
I want to make sure.
Buyers.
Voronkov gets a 2-year deal. He was a restricted free agent. How important was it to get that deal done?
I love the season that he had, 40-some-odd points, 25 goals, 24 assists, I believe it was, if my memory serves me right. And I love this guy, and he has an opportunity to be a power forward extraordinaire, much like some of the better power forwards in the NHL over the years. He's big, he's strong. The Jackets have put him on a program to lose some weight here in the offseason, and I understand he's working out 4 or 5 times a week. Good deal for him, good deal for the Blue Jackets here because he's signed now for 2 years.
Jeff, I actually went out to the Prospect Cup game, the Stinger Cup on Saturday morning. That was for people that don't have that on their radar, kind of a neat thing, especially when it's burning hot outside, to get in there and feel the chill of the ice. There was like 1 million donuts and coffee was there. And I'm telling you, Jeff, I thought Andreanov looked really good in between the pipes. If I had to point to anybody that looked the best there, even ahead of Caden Lindstrom, I thought the new goalie, who they just took 20th overall, looked really good. I know that's not saying that he's going to be around for the next few years, but that was just what I saw out there. I don't know who you've talked to or what you've heard about him and the guy they picked 20th.
Well, the Blue Jackets are really high on him, and there was a development camp under one of the agents. In fact, his agent here in Fort Lauderdale a few weeks prior to the draft. The Jackets had 3 members of the organization in attendance, including Don Waddell, and they were very impressed with Andreev. And I think this kid's got a chance to be a great goaltender. There's some comparisons to Sergei Bobrovsky. That's a tall order, but we understand he's going to remain in the KHL in Russia for a few years. But understand one thing, anybody that was drafted the other day is not going to have an immediate impact in the Blue Jackets lineup because they're young. I know they're very, very happy with Smith. They were impressed by his camp and really the personality that he brings along with that talent. So, yeah, I think to answer your question, they've got a goaltender that can certainly be a big part of the Blue Jackets' future in their young Russian kid. And I know the Jackets are pretty impressed with him. And he was, as you say, impressive during the final game.
New CBA has officially been ratified. It includes an 84-game regular season. Are you surprised to see it?
No, not at all. They've been talking about it for a couple of years, but they couldn't do anything until they got the new CBA. So, by the way, there's harmony between the players and the owners here for the next 5 years, a 4-year agreement, 1 year left on the current deal. I think it's better. I think the preseason's too long. They cut down on that. I think anything over 4 preseason games is too much. So now any player that's got any kind of experience in the National Hockey League will only play in 2 of those 4 games, and increasing the schedule to 84 is a good idea. And those remaining or extra games will be played within the division, so those rivalries will continue to grow.
All right, let's do some name dropping. What do you got, Rimmer?
One thing I do want to say about the new CBA, which kind of caught me a little bit off guard, because one thing about the National Hockey League is the fact that they're able to classily show up at the rink, shirt and tie. We wear shirts and ties for the broadcast, and I thought it was a great look by the NHL. Now, though, in the new CBA, the players have negotiated. They can come to the arena much like the players do at the ballpark, jeans, golf shirt, whatever. T-shirt. So they've loosened.
That's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
Dress code, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dress code is huge as far as the players are concerned. And you think of a guy like Patrick Laine. How many times when he was a Blue Jacket, who, by the way, I hear Montreal is interested in getting rid of him. Surprise, surprise. But Laine would get Laine would fashion himself like, right out of GQ. So I wonder how he's going to dress now that he no longer has to dress up and the code is somewhat relaxed in how you dress. It'll be interesting to see him alone. I
like how you just ignored my question. Do you have a name to drop?
Yes, I do. I'm going back to my cruise, and there were some sports people that I kind of got close to while I was there, and they're all NFL guys, and we started comparing quarterbacks from different decades and quarterbacks in their prime. And I was talking a few weeks ago, if you remember, about John Madden and the conversations that I had with him. But we got to discussing Troy Aikman, who certainly was the best quarterback of his generation. And then we went back because the guys found out that I was from Baltimore or spent time in Baltimore, and they wanted to talk about my good friend Johnny Unitas. And I think I may have told you guys years ago about getting to meet Johnny on several occasions. He was a regular listener to my talk show and was a guest from time to time. But I also enjoyed going to the Golden Arm. Is that not a great name for a restaurant? Because he was a restaurant owner as well as being a proficient quarterback in the NFL. And I think the best of his generation.
Remember that time that you and I went to the gentleman's club called the Baby Arm? Remember that?
No, I do not. Refresh my memory.
No, never mind. Have a good week, Rimmer. We'll talk to you next week.
You don't want to talk about Johnny Unitas and the Golden Arm?
I'm the Baby Arm, and I'm out of time. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, Rims.
And the high tops.
I gotta go. Name dropping with Jeff Rimmer on the Bryant Heating and